General Hospital spoilers tease that Molly will soon learn the earth-shattering truths about her birth parents, Ric and Alexis. Truths so dark they have been buried beneath layers of deceit, manipulation, and blackmail. What began as whispers in the corridors of Port Charles General Hospital is about to erupt into a maelstrom of betrayal that will leave Molly's world in ruins. Unbeknownst to her, Ric has been working hand in glove with Ava Jerome, leveraging the gravity of Kristina's past misdeeds to extort Alexis. All of it was meant to stay hidden until Cody Bell, ever the eavesdropper, unwittingly uncovers their clandestine scheme. On a late spring evening, the soft hum of machines in the SICU was punctuated by hushed voices coming from a private office down the hall. Cody Bell, delivering charts for one of the nursing staff, paused by the slightly ajar door. There, in the dim glow of a desk lamp, sat Ric Lansing and Ava Jerome, their faces hardened by desperation and greed. What Cody thought would be a routine stop to drop off paperwork quickly turned into something far more sinister. Ric leaned forward, his elbows resting on the desk, eyes glinting with a ruthless resolve. Ava, ever the mastermind, outlined the next phase of their plan. They would intensify the pressure on Alexis Davis, who had already paid handsomely to keep Kristina's role in the accident hidden, demanding even greater sums to guarantee her silence. Kristina's crime, the accident that nearly claimed Ric's life and left Elizabeth Weber reeling, had been obscured behind a veil of plausible deniability. But Ava's thirst for power and Ric's undisguised willingness to exploit his own wife's past mistakes knew no bounds. Cody, heart-pounding, edged closer and ducked behind a stack of file boxes. He held his breath as Ava spoke of forged documents, staged threats, and a timeline for Alexis's next payment. Ric's voice, calm yet chilling, confirmed that no one outside their circle would ever discover the truth unless someone else spoke up. It was in that charged moment that Cody realized the magnitude of what he was hearing. Not only was Alexis being blackmailed by her ex-husband and a woman with a penchant for scheming, but the very daughter she cherished, Molly, was about to be shoved into a world of lies and half-truths. Once Ric and Ava departed, confident that their secret remained intact, Cody slipped out of the office, his mind racing. He replayed every word, every nuance of guilt or triumph in their tones. He knew he couldn't keep this to himself. Cody had long considered Molly one of his closest friends, her kindness toward strangers, her unwavering dedication as a nurse, and the gentle way she handled even the most trying of Port Charles's patients. She deserved the truth, no matter how devastating. That night, sleep eluded Cody. Every time he closed his eyes, images of Molly's warm smile twisted into visions of tears and heartbreak. He thought of Alexis, strong, compassionate Alexis, reduced to a frightened woman, paying protection money to her ex-husband to shield her daughter's sister from the consequences of her actions. And Kristina, Molly's half-sister, whose veneer of sweetness masked an unsettling capacity for violence. How could Molly possibly process the revelation that the people she trusted most had conspired in such a monstrous deception? As dawn broke, Cody resolved to tell Molly, but not before preparing her, urging her to steel herself for what he would reveal. He found her in the nurse's station, reviewing charts with her typical focus. "Molly," he said softly, "I need to talk to you. It's urgent." Concern flickered in her hazel eyes. "Is everything okay?" she asked, setting aside her pen. "I need you to promise me something first," Cody began, lowering his voice. "When I tell you what I know, you have to stay calm. Please." Molly frowned. "You're scaring me, Cody." "What is it?" Cody hesitated, then plunged ahead. "I overheard Ric and Ava, late last night. They're still blackmailing Alexis. And it's all because of Kristina." Her brow creased. "Kristina? What does Kristina have to do with this?" Taking a steadying breath, Cody recounted the conversation in painstaking detail, the discussion of forged evidence, the threats of exposure, the monetary demands increasing with each passing week. He spoke of Kristina's role in the accident that had nearly killed both Ric and Liz, how Kristina's moment of rage behind the wheel had set off a chain reaction of pain and vulnerability. Molly's face drained of color. "You're lying," she whispered. "Kristina would never." "I wish I were," Cody replied. "But I heard it myself." The revelation struck Molly like a physical blow. Her knees buckled, and she sank into a chair, trembling. Cody reached out, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Just breathe," he urged. "I know it's a lot." Molly closed her eyes, memories flooding in, Kristina's laughter as they shared secrets in their shared room, Alexis's gentle admonitions to keep their scrubs tidy, Ric's teasing smiles when he visited. It all seemed so innocent, so secure until now. Tears welled in her eyes, and she let them fall. Cody offered a tissue, his own voice thick. "Alexis thought she was protecting you, protecting Kristina. She paid them to keep quiet. But the truth is, they were using her." Through her sobs, Molly asked the question that had to be asked. Why would Ric do this? Cody's face hardened. "Because he's angry about the accident, about what Kristina did. He thinks Alexis should pay the price. And Ava, well, she just saw an opportunity to profit." Molly's mind whirled. The woman who had always been her heroine, her mother, Alexis, was now a victim. The father she barely knew Ric cast in a new, monstrous light. And Kristina, her sister, the person she had confided in most, now revealed as the architect of so much pain. In the days that followed, Molly carried her secret like a hidden wound. By day, she performed her duties at the hospital with practiced professionalism, but under her crisp nurse's uniform her heart thudded with a treacherous rhythm. Every slip of the tongue, every sidelong glance from Alexis or Ric tightened the noose of anxiety around her chest. Cody stayed by her side, offering quiet support, but Molly felt adrift in a sea of betrayal. Alexis noticed the change immediately. Over breakfast one morning at Kelly's, she reached across the table and took Molly's hand. "You're distant," she said, her voice laced with concern. "Is there something you're not telling me?" Molly stared into her mother's eyes and saw the reflection of the secret she carried. Alexis's gentle features betrayed a hint of panic, an unspoken plea to remain silent. But Molly knew she could no longer lie. "I need to know the truth," Molly said, voice wavering. "Everything." Alexis exhaled slowly, her composure wavering. She drew Molly into a tight embrace and led her home, where, over trembling breaths, Alexis confessed Ric's extortion, Kristina's role in the accident, and her own desperation to keep her daughters safe. Even at the price of her dignity. As Alexis detailed how Ric and Ava had first approached her, Molly's chest constricted. Images of Alexis handing over envelopes stuffed with cash, of Kristina feigning concern as Liz recovered, replayed in her mind. The realization that her family had been built on lies, on blood money, threats, and manipulation, cracked something inside her. "How could Kristina?" Molly whispered, tears staining her cheeks. Alexis's own tears fell. "I begged her for mercy," she confessed. "But she was terrified of going to prison, of destroying what little family we had left." Molly closed her eyes, trying to reconcile the sister she knew with the one who had run that car into her father, nearly killing him and Liz. The sweet, art-loving girl who shared her birthday dinners now revealed as a calculating figure, willing to risk her father's life to escape consequence. In the eye of this emotional storm, Molly found herself questioning everything: her mother's silence, her father's cruelty, her sister's duplicity. Yet as grief and rage warred within her, a spark of clarity emerged. She realized that while she could not undo the past, she could shape the future. She would confront Ric, demand justice for Alexis, and force Ava to pay for her machinations. And Kristina, her sister, would have to answer for what she had done. The confrontation came swiftly. Molly invited Ric to the Quartermain mansion under the pretense of a family meeting. When he arrived, Suave and confident, his eyes met hers with an unreadable expression. Alexis stood by Molly's side, her face pale but determined. Ava lingered in the background, heels clicking on the marble floor, curiosity aroused. Molly began, her voice steady despite the tremors in her heart. "You have a lot to answer for, Ric." Ric's brow furrowed. "What are you talking about?" Molly produced recording snippets. Cody had captured audio of Ric and Ava's plotting. The room fell silent as she played the incriminating snippets. Ric's face paled as his own words echoed in the grand hall. Ava's smug expression faded, replaced by panic. "You extorted her," Molly said, voice rising. "You blackmailed my mother because you were angry about Kristina's accident. And you, Kristina," she turned to her half-sister, who cowered by the doorway, "you tried to destroy lives to save yourself." Kristina's face crumpled. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came. Instead, she sank to her knees, tears streaming down her cheeks. Alexis hurried to her side, wrapping her arms around her younger daughter. Ric's composure finally broke. "You don't understand," he barked. "That accident, she almost killed me. She almost killed Liz. She deserves to suffer." "You've already made her suffer," Molly replied coldly, "by colluding with a criminal to extort her own mother." Ava's eyes darted around, searching for an escape. "Molly, you don't know what you're saying." But Molly would not be deterred. She had found a strength she never knew she possessed. "I know exactly what I'm saying." She recounted Alexis's sacrifices, Kristina's betrayals, and Ric's hollow vengeance. In that moment, the Lansing-Jackson family's facade shattered completely, leaving raw, painful truth in its wake. The aftermath was brutal. Ava was arrested on charges of extortion and conspiracy. Alexis testified against her, her voice trembling but resolute. Ric faced public disgrace and the severance of whatever tenuous relationship he had with his daughters. Kristina was escorted away by Port Charles PD, sobbing apologies to Molly and Alexis. For Molly, the wreckage of her family was both a nightmare and a liberation. The betrayal had cut deep, but in its wake came a hard-earned clarity. She leaned on Cody and her mother to rebuild her trust in others and in herself. Alexis moved in with Molly, forging a quieter, calmer life focused on healing rather than hiding. Kristina's fate remained uncertain. Molly refused to visit her sister in jail, needing space from the person she once called family. Through the tears and the anger, Molly discovered resilience. She found that love, when tested by fire, could emerge stronger, provided the embers of truth were allowed to burn. And as she stood in the quiet halls of Port Charles General Hospital months later, donning her nurse's uniform with renewed purpose, she carried with her the hard-earned wisdom that some betrayals, once confronted, can pave the way for true redemption. General Hospital's newest chapter promises ripple effects across Port Charles, a fallen scion of the Lansing Empire, an embittered Ava paying for her schemes, and a family forever changed by the courage of one brave nurse who refused to let secrets define her future. In this world of shifting alliances and hidden agendas, one thing is certain: Molly's story is far from over.